Browns Roofing, we put our customers first. Our expert project managers are there to answer all your questions and help you out with anything you need. When disaster strikes, either a hailstorm or a leaky roof, you need a contractor in which you can trust.
Hey folks, welcome to the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank. I'm Jared Floyd. Happy Monday, shortly before lunchtime, and today's forecast made possible by Century Next Bank. What's next for you? Visit cnext.bank for more, the exclusive banking partner of the Digital Weather Desk. Across the region, we are watching scattered storm potential not only through midday, but also through the afternoon and perhaps into the evening hours. A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. It's been in effect for most of the morning across most of our southern Arkansas counties, with the exception of Ashley and Chico counties. None of our Mississippi counties, none of our Louisiana parishes, although I wouldn't be surprised to see an additional severe thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm watch or something of that sort a little bit later today. But aside from that, it's been a relatively quiet start to the day. Let's take a look at the radar made possible by Browns Roofing. And we've had some hail-producing thunderstorms from the Hot Springs area and now most of that flushing into the Little Rock metro. Nothing severe, at least for now. Most of the warnings have been allowed to expire. And that's where we start off with a look at the radar, again, stretching from Malvern to Sheridan and then stretching northward over toward Carlisle and Searcy and some of those regions as well as you move east of Little Rock. Again, if you're traveling or if you have friends or family that maybe you're traveling from Little Rock to Memphis or something like that, it's pretty heavy downpours in some of those areas. Now, as you move into the ArkLaMiss, we do have a few spotty showers and storms that have started to pop up across our southern parishes. Most of this is still along the I-49 corridor from Natchitoches to near Alexandria. And as it moves off to the north and east, some heavier downpours. A lot of these areas saw some patchy light rain through much of the day yesterday, and you'll still continue to encounter these storms. They don't have a lot of upper-level support, so while they are really thriving in a very warm, humid environment, there's not a whole lot to help sustain them or fuel them. They're really just having to ride along that instability and the warm, humid environment that's given to us through the afternoon. There's a weak mid-level impulse that's moving through that helps to spur along a lot of this, but it's not overly strong. So this isn't a part of a larger storm system. We deal with that later this week. Temperatures across the area are in the upper 60s to low 70s, 71 in Monroe, 73 in El Dorado, 71 in Natchez. Most of us should still probably see the mid to upper 70s for daytime highs. Some spots could even be close to 80 degrees. It is quite soupy, very humid, mid to upper 60s. Some areas with dew points right at 70. And again, this time of year, early March, with those types of dew points and the types of air temperatures you're dealing with, it doesn't take much to fuel at least some isolated strong to severe storm potential. That becomes more widespread potentially in our area on Wednesday, or at least the threat is for the entire region. It may not be necessarily widespread severe weather, but the entire region will have that potential later this week. Wind speeds are out of the south in the 5 to 10 mile an hour range for the most part. Those higher gusts and the higher sustained winds really confined across southern Arkansas at midday. Check of the day planner made possible by the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, Leaders of Change. Learn more at monroe.org. Again, we'll deal with the scattered storms probably through the rest of the afternoon and into the evening hours. Outdoor plans this evening, there will be at least some potential for lightning, but it will be still rather scattered. I do expect the rain to kind of drift in and out through much of the early evening, but then as we go into the night and the sun sets, obviously the sun sets a little bit later now, and that's kind of a human-made byproduct that kind of alters a lot of things because we will hold on to the daytime heat-driven storms a little bit later in the day because of daylight saving time. But I would think by sunset or shortly thereafter, we start to lose daytime heating. What limited mid-level support that we have for storms will start to move off to the east, and that should wrap things up as well. Futurecast shows the potential for those scattered storms as a weak boundary lifts back to the north. But again, all of this is really embedded in a very warm, humid, southerly flow. So that Gulf air continues to stream in through the course of the day. We've got a little mid-level disturbance making its way through the Ozarks here. As it moves off to the east, it provides a little bit of lift. And again, with the daytime instability, those bubble-up showers and storms are expected. Again, any storms that can stay sustained in the environment for any kind of length of time have the potential of producing hail. That's probably our primary severe weather threat as we go through the day. Damaging wind potential may exist, and the tornado threat, as I mentioned this morning, is low, but it's not zero. So again, all severe weather hazards could in theory be supported, but hail looks to be the primary concern. Can't rule out the possibility of a stray storm late tomorrow evening as well. Again, there's not a lot of upper level support, but we will have a weak impulse as our upper low to the southwest opens up and starts to move eastward. That could fuel a few storms generally along the I-30 corridor tomorrow evening. Again, generally speaking, shouldn't be a problem in most of our area, but the far western counties and parishes can't rule that out. And then we'll obviously bring the big upper level storm system, the big trough of low pressure, as it opens up and moves eastward. We talked about that at length during the morning hours this morning during the early stream. Talked about how an area of low pressure at the surface would really help to kind of maximize shear in the atmosphere. And it establishes that warm sector. If we can't get a very strong area of low pressure to develop along this advancing front, we may just kind of deal with showers and storms that are getting undercut by an advancing front, and that may keep a lot of it slightly elevated through the course of the day. That would limit severe weather potential to a certain degree in some areas. Again, that's a scenario that, again, appears unlikely at this point, simply because this area of low pressure at the surface that's expected to gradually deepen as we go through the day on Wednesday will help to wrap in that warm, humid Gulf air, but also it helps to swing winds back around to the south and southeast at the surface, which helps to maximize wind shear all the way down to ground level. And so that would support all severe weather hazards: wind, hail, tornadoes, and obviously some storm-driven heavy rainfall. All of that sweeps eastward late in the day Wednesday into early Thursday. Skies clear. A weak boundary passes through the area, kind of reinforcing some cool, dry air through the early half of the weekend. But it will be a pretty sharp warm-up. We see temperatures take a dip, 40s for lows in some spots, daytime highs in the 60s on Thursday, and then it's a sharp warming trend ahead of the weekend, and then another front on Sunday, which also perhaps brings us some noticeably cooler air for the early parts of next week. Low 60s for highs, maybe some spots even in the upper 50s, and morning lows back into the 40s and 50s in many spots. So again, nothing dramatically colder, but cooler nonetheless. Morning lows could bottom out Friday morning in the low to mid 40s. So it's worth noting. But it'll be sun-filled in a lot of these areas by then. All right, so here's a look at storm energy. And I think this is a cool thing to look at because the wind lines that you see there, I've filtered out. They're mid-level winds, and we're looking at the mid-level winds of 50 miles an hour or stronger. So when they pop up on the map, those are areas of winds 50 miles an hour or stronger about midway up in the atmosphere. And that mid-level support really helps to fuel thunderstorms to a certain degree. Leanne says that there is thunder outside of Jonesville. So thanks for letting us in on that. So again, you can see the stronger mid-level winds with that little conveyor belt of belt of winds across northern Arkansas. That's that mid-level disturbance that I was talking about. And notice how much instability we have in the atmosphere. The colors that you see on the map is storm energy. We call it CAPE, convective available potential energy. It's basically how much energy the environment has to help fuel thunderstorms and for storms to build and grow rapidly in the atmosphere. A lot of what we see and what we've accumulated today and what we will accumulate going into the evening is heat driven. It's warm and it's humid outside. So there's a lot of storm energy. And what we do scour out in terms of scattered storms is, again, aided by this mid-level disturbance that's moving through the region. As we go into the nighttime hours, that storm energy starts to wane because the air cools and the atmosphere stabilizes. Tomorrow afternoon, we do the whole thing all over again. But note, we start getting some stronger mid-level winds associated with the opening upper low off to our west, that trough that's starting to phase into the pattern. And we still get some of that heat-driven instability across the northwestern half of our coverage area. So those two in tandem perhaps support, again, a very isolated severe threat late afternoon, evening across our far western counties and parishes. Then the upper level system swings in middle parts of this week for Wednesday. Now note how much the atmosphere kind of changes, and we start to see our instability, which was quite strong, well, with cloud cover and rain and all that stuff, and also the advancing front moving into the region, Our instability in that storm energy comes down. But we have a larger swath of stronger winds aloft. We have the upper level components of the system that are adding wind shear and strong winds aloft, which allows for air to move up rapidly. So all of that kind of offsets what we're seeing in terms of limited storm energy. Now we're starting to deal with higher amounts of wind shear. We have more lift in the atmosphere because we have this advancing cold front. So there's all these different types of ingredients that we're always, it's a balancing act between all of them for storms. There's a balancing act for winter weather. Now the components are different for that. There's a balancing act for tropical systems. It's all a matter of what you have to work with in the environment. We have quite a bit of instability here in the short term, but there's not a lot of upper level support. There's not a lot of lift in the atmosphere. We don't have we have a weak stationary front, but not a significant notable boundary. And so we have all of this together, and it's not necessarily an overly favorable severe weather environment, but it could support some. Wednesday, we get the strong winds, we get all that stuff we were lacking, but we start losing a little bit of that storm energy as the overcast skies take over and the rain sets in and all that. So again, balancing act. Then all that stuff moves east, and then the rest of the week's quiet. So here's a look at the severe weather threat as folks start looking, and I have a lot of folks asking about rain, and Mike Lisa asked about Union Parish. So here's a look at the severe weather threat for the rest of the day. Slight risk level 2 for mainly our southern Arkansas counties, portions of the Mississippi Delta, far northern Louisiana. Marginal risk level 1 for everyone else. Again, hail would be our primary threat. Damaging wind gusts can't be ruled out. The tornado threat is low, but it is not zero. Here's the threat for tomorrow, Tuesday. Remember when I said I-30 corridor, far western counties and parishes? Yeah, so again, a small sliver of our area is under that severe weather outlook. Again, these are human-drawn forecasts. They may change. They're updated frequently throughout the day. In fact, our next update for day 2 is going to be at 12:30. So here in about 20 minutes or so, this may even be the new one. I don't know. I hadn't checked. And then here's a look at the Wednesday severe weather threat. That's a slight risk level 2, but also keep in mind that this will be updated at about 2:30 this afternoon, and we'll get more frequent updates because that's still farther out in time. It's Monday. We're looking at Wednesday. We're going to have a lot to iron out between now and then. In terms of storm-driven rainfall, obviously, where we see the storms, we're going to see the heftiest totals. But through the middle parts of this week, storm-driven rain amounts, I wouldn't be surprised to add another inch to 2 inches on top of what we've already seen. Obviously, it's going to be scattered rain chances yield scattered rain totals, and storm-driven totals will lead to even more extremes. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some storm-driven totals of up to 2-3 inches of rain. There will be some spots that fall well short of these. There may be a lot of areas that fall well short of these totals. Official rainfall forecast over the next 3 days, again, generally keeps us in the 1/2 to 1.5 inch range broadly across the area. Nowhere near what we were dealing with 10 years ago today. I did make a post remembering the March 2016 floods and some of the statistics and numbers and all that stuff from that, so you can just scroll down. It's a previous post from this morning. I wanted to get that out of the way for folks to be able to see it, but also get it out of the way before the storm started to flare up this afternoon. Flash flood risk, the excessive rain outlook, whatever you want to call it, for Wednesday. Again, marginal risk level 1 out of 4 categories, mainly just saying storm-driven rains could lead to some localized street flooding and flash flooding. That should not be a surprise. Mid to upper 70s for highs today. Some areas could still hit the 80-degree mark, but again, scattered showers and storms will be possible. Any sustained storms could become strong, possibly severe. Hail our primary concern. Lows tonight will fall back into the mid to upper 60s. The storms wrap up, especially as we get into the late evening and nighttime hours. Winds will be out of the south. Clouds are starting to thin out here. Sunshine, not a good thing today. Upper 70s for highs, as I mentioned today. Low 80s tomorrow. An outside chance of a shower or storm. Rain chances back up Wednesday and Wednesday night. Noticeably cooler for Thursday with highs in the 60s, but we quickly warm into the weekend. I tell you what, the early half of the weekend looks awesome. Mid-70s on Friday, right at 80 on Saturday with some cool mornings, 40s and 50s. Some very, very nice days ahead of us into the upcoming weekend. Could work some rain chances back in Sunday, Monday. We bring another cold front through the region on Sunday evening. That brings the possibility of some cooler air for the early parts of next week. Maybe back into the 60s and 40s. And a severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued. This is outside of our area. It looks like Jefferson County. Yep. Grant County and Jefferson County in southeastern Arkansas, not Grant Parish, Grant County. So if you have folks that are traveling up toward Pine Bluff or headed toward Little Rock, some hail producers, a problem there. And so that's how the forecast shakes out on this Monday, midday, March 9th. We'll keep an eye on the storm potential as we go through the rest of the day while I continue to sit here and flap my gums. We can go back to look at the radar. You can kind of see how things continue to evolve across our southern parishes. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning that I just mentioned was not in the ArkLaMiss. It's Grant County, Arkansas, not Grant Parish. Meanwhile, in Grant Parish, it is raining and probably some rumbles of thunder. So as we set up for the rest of the afternoon, I'll keep an eye on all this stuff. The severe thunderstorm watch is still in effect till 3 for most of our southern Arkansas counties. I wouldn't be surprised to need another watch later today. In the meantime, I'll also keep an eye out for tomorrow's severe weather outlook, which is coming out here shortly. Here's a new severe thunderstorm watch. Let's take a look. Never mind. That's not a new severe thunderstorm watch. That's what I get for looking at my phone and not actually looking at the alert. They were canceling part of the severe thunderstorm watch. So anyway, let me make sure that we didn't get canceled out of that. Hang on. I could just pull up the map. Let's just pull up the map. I'm forgetting what I'm doing here. All right, there's the severe thunderstorm watch. It's been trimmed back. Columbia County, Union County, no longer under the severe thunderstorm watch. But Ouachita, Bradley, Calhoun, Drew counties still under that severe thunderstorm watch until 3. So I'm glad we were able to get that in. So folks that are joining this late or catch it late, severe thunderstorm watch still in effect till 3. 4 counties in southern Arkansas. The rest of us will keep an eye on storm threats as we go through the rest of the day. We may need additional watches down the line. Just depends on how storms organize. I think at this point, most of it stays fairly isolated for our area. And I would think the next severe thunderstorm watch may be more central and northern sections of Mississippi. But we'll see. And if anything crazy happens, I'll let you know about it. Like I said, the Day 2 severe weather outlook's coming out here shortly. And then we have the Day 3 outlook that comes out about 2:30. So I'll kind of outline what we expect going into Wednesday as we go through the rest of the day. I'll join you later this afternoon with a look at the forecast. And again, anything else that happens in between, I'll let you know about it. Thanks so much for stopping by the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank. Forecast is always available, along with the interactive radar at digitalweatherdesk.com and on the Digital Weather Desk app, where you can receive severe weather alerts 100% free. Of course, don't forget about our partnership with Weather Call Next Gen. Details, again, on how to register at digitalweatherdesk.com. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Be safe on the roadways. I'll check in with you later this afternoon.
Century Next Bank is proud to sponsor Digital Weather Desk with local meteorologist Jared Floyd.
The Digital Weather Desk is your local source for the latest weather information to help keep you and your family safe and to plan your week. You can follow us on our social media platforms, download our app, and you can also find us at digitalweatherdesk.com. The Digital Weather Desk,
Powered by Century Next Bank.